Hello, I was just on my way home from the airport. I dropped my son and my daughter off so that they could go sing with their choir through the Midwestern states. They're going on a choir tour. And as I watched their performance last night that they did for their parents here, and as I was driving home from dropping them off, I decided I needed to stop and make this little video on my way home. I've been putting it off for several weeks, and mostly because the introduction makes me so uncomfortable. I don't like saying the things I am going to say in it. And as I was thinking about why that is, it's really pride. I don't like what people might think of me as I share some of these things. I don't want people to think that I'm saying that my kids are so amazing or that I'm so good or whatever else, and because that's not what I'm saying at all. But I think I needed to share some of these things in order to introduce the Warrior Family course, and so I've just been putting it off because, like I said, it makes me so uncomfortable. But here it goes. We're gonna go for this. So I just got done writing the introduction to the Family Warrior course, and I mentioned in the introduction that it's the course that I really was most excited about and why I made all the other courses. A lot of people were asking me parenting questions, and I think in large part it's because I have 8 children, and so people kind of assumed I must know a little bit of what I'm doing and talking about. But I think it's also because they notice a difference in my kids, and this is the part that makes me so uncomfortable to talk about. But I think it's because they would notice that my kids tended to be a little bit more, or a little bit different than your typical, teenager or typical 8-year-old that you kind of think of nowadays when you say those ages. And they tend to be a little more respectful or kind, aware of the people around them and of the needs, and curious. They like to learn. They like to discover new ideas and discuss them and read about them and talk about them. And one example is yesterday, as I picked my daughter up in Logan, which is a couple hours from here. She was there for a year. Why? And she is my daughter that is most into reading. She's introverted, and she just loves books and she's read these big, thick classics several times, and it's just something that she enjoys. She enjoys literature and thinking and those sort of things. And so the social experience, if we have AFY, I thought might be a little bit of a stretch for her. So I asked her as we were driving home, so what did you think? What did you like? And she said, oh, I love the classes. There were some really cool things, and I love the games and being able to discuss them afterwards. There was some cool insights shared. She said there was a little bit of awkwardness in the social aspect of it. And I said, oh, really, what do you mean? And she said, well, there was that, where people would get into groups, and there was the popular group and people trying to get into the popular group. She said, what I did, I just decided that I would try to do what Jesus would do and look for those who were maybe feeling left out and talking to them and getting to know different kinds of people. And so it was good. I felt like I got to know some cool people, and I was able to help people feel included. And she would hate me sharing that with you right now, by the way, so hopefully she doesn't watch this video. But I loved what she said, because it made me think, you know what, if that is the social skills that she's developed, then I am happy. That's perfect. That's what she needs for life. If we could all have that kind of social skill where we're looking out for those who may need a friend, then we would be fine. And so I just thought, that's really cool that that's the kind of social skills that she's learned. And another example is my son Dallin. He just got back from scout camp, and as we were pulling into the driveway, we were getting the stuff out of the car, and the first thing he did was he went out, unbuckled the baby, got him out for me, and took him inside. And I just thought, that's an impressive thing to do. He noticed the need that I had, and before he unpacked all his stuff and took care of himself, he decided to help Mom. And I just love that he was willing and able to do that. And then one of my other sons right now, he was noticing that he was spending too much time. And we moved right before his junior year, and so he has struggled a little bit with missing his friends that we moved away from. And so sometimes he spends time, on chats or talking to them. And so we're discussing the problem with being on your phone too much. And I said, do you want me to do some kind of parenting app where I can help you limit your time on the phone? And he said, yeah, I think that would be a good thing. And so we've been working on that together. And so anyway, these are just a few examples of some of the things that are just not typical, I would think, with the things that we normally associate with teenagers. And we're certainly not the only ones. I know a lot of really good families who have kids that are not your typical what you expect to see of kids that age, that have very respectful and kids who are ready to learn and excited to make a difference in the world. But there are certain things that families like this have in common, and that's what I want to talk about and what the Warrior Family course is about. And I think the main thing that these families have in common is that they are aware and willing to seek for direction for their individual family. They don't just go with the flow and what everybody else is doing, what their neighbors are doing, what the culture is doing. They actively look at, this holiday, are we celebrating it the way that is best for our family? Should we do it a little bit differently? Or, this cultural practice or that. And they kind of try to examine and figure out what is best for them and try to center their lives in a purposeful way, not just going with what everybody else is doing. And I think that was kind of okay in the past. Like, you could kind of get away with that a little bit, where you would just kind of go with what everyone was doing and your kids would turn out okay. But I think the way our world is now, the enemy has infiltrated so many places. And if we just go with the flow, it's going to be really difficult not to lose our children, because the flow isn't going to a good place these days. And so it's important that we become the kind of family that is actively seeking, what is it that is best for my kids and for our unique situation and for their unique talents, and how do I help them find those? And that's what this course is for. The family course is for helping us guide our children to their unique work, to prioritize their time and our time, because it's so easy to get caught up with like so many good things that there are to do and to sign them up for. And sometimes we do that at the expense of the best things, family time and things that are crucial for them. And so knowing how to pick and choose what's best, knowing when they're ready for power tools, I call them, like cell phones and things that will help them spread good messages out to the world, but can also be very distracting, and when they're ready for those sort of things. The 9 habits is what I talk about, 9 habits that they need to have before they leave our home, so that they can be successful, happy adults who find a lot of joy in doing their unique work. And those 9 habits are actually the ones that I also suggest that you work on before giving them cell phones or other power tools, that they are able to kind of have them down, because then they're ready for them. And then we teach them and inspire them to want to work on those principles and develop those habits on their own, so that we're not pushing or nagging, but that it's something that they genuinely want to do and they're excited to work on them. And encourage you to sign up for the basic training course. If you could finish it this week and start the Warrior Journey course, that would be awesome, because we're going through the Warrior Journey course through the summer as a group, and then the people who finish that course will be able to take the Warrior Family course, because like I said, the Warrior Journey course is a prerequisite. There were certain things that I felt people needed to have in place in their own lives before they could parent the way that this outlines. You can't teach what you don't know. And so the Journey course was kind of a prereq to getting those things set up in our own lives, so that we could then go forth and teach them to our children. So it's a teaching course and some systems and family things that we can set in place to help us be able to be guided to our family's unique purpose and mission. So I will close with a little narration that my son surprised us with at the presentation last night when they were doing their performance. He got up and he shared some things, and there was a couple of slides that were showing in the background. You can't see them in the clip, but they're on the projector, and they were of him and his sister and some of our family. And he talks about how he and his sister were really good friends, and then his sister went off to serve a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and how it was hard, but that he knew that she was outgoing and doing the right thing. And I want to share it here just because I think it's an awesome example of the power of families, the importance of having a family unit that supports you, and of going out and serving and helping other people with the talents and blessings you've been blessed with. And he also references the Army of Helam, and if you're not familiar with that story, it is found in the Book of Mormon. And even if you don't believe the Book of Mormon to be a book of scripture, I think you would find the story is really, has some beautiful truths in it. It's a story of some young men that go out and fight these people who are trying to take away their freedoms, to put them in bondage. And they talk about how their mothers taught them that they would be delivered if they were faithful and did not doubt. So it's a beautiful story of the importance of teaching our children so they can have the courage to put themselves out there and Fight for truth even when the enemy feels so strong and dark, that they can know that they can overcome him because the power of light is always stronger. And so he references that, and then the choir goes on to sing a song about it. But I just want to show you his little clip and what he says in order to close. So here you go.
This year I had to say goodbye to my sister as she left to serve a full-time mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Through all of our life's adventures in childhood and through our teenage years, we always had each other's backs. And even though I do miss her a ton, I know that she's doing the absolute best thing that she could be doing right now. Like the song says, we have been born as Nephi of old to goodly parents who love the Lord. My parents taught me and my sister the restored gospel of Jesus Christ, bringing us the utmost joy and happiness. And I know that my sister is now bringing that same gospel to others on her mission, bringing them joy and happiness. Knowing that my sister is making other people's lives better by sharing the gospel further inspires me to join the army of Helaman and to bring the world around me his truth.